So we're going to weigh in on now the economic impact of the tariff plans. Vice President Harris and former President Trump are talking about. Let's bring in Clete Willems, who served as NEC Deputy Director during the Trump administration. He's now a partner with international law firm Aiken, and Bob Hormats, who served as a Vice Chairman of Goldman Sachs International and is a veteran of 5 presidential administrations, serving many roles, including as Undersecretary of State and Deputy U.S. Trade Rep. And if you're Bob, and it's been a while, it's good to see you. You know, you've been an international guy. China, we've had you on for China so many times in the past, and for a lot of other reasons. And just, I think in your DNA, if there was never another tariff from any country anywhere around the world, you would probably be happy. Is that fair to say?
No, I think there are legitimate reasons for imposing tariffs. We have safeguard tariffs. We have tariffs for national security. We have tariffs if there are countries that are doing things that are in violation of international trading rules. We have plenty of those tariffs, and I'm all for utilizing tariffs for specific purposes.
I mean, in a perfect world, if there were no other tariffs, if everybody was playing fairly, you wouldn't want any. I mean, you're talking about tariffs in response to other countries that are misbehaving in terms of free trade.
Or for our national security purposes. What I don't like is across-the-board tariffs that are not focused on the specific things that I talked about. That's what troubles me.
And Clete, this is what we're hearing. That is it's really the only sort of political stance that Democrats can take right now, because Biden left on almost all the tariffs and actually increased some. So the way that you can sort of justify that and still trash the Trump tariffs, the proposed tariffs, was by saying, well, you know, some of them are targeted. We like the good tariffs. We just don't like the bad tariffs.
Well, thank you for helping me with my argument here. But look, the big point is that these plans are all still being developed. And when they're rolled out after President Trump wins the election, I expect that you're going to see tariffs that are trying to achieve a lot of the exact same goals that Bob is talking about, bipartisan goals. I mean, what is President Trump trying to do? He's trying to bring more manufacturing back to the United States. He's trying to combat unfair trade practices, which is exactly why the Biden administration were adopting and increasing some of the Trump tariffs. And then third, he's trying to restore balance to the international order. And I think when you look at this tariff proposal, you've got to put it in the context that most of the rest of the world has higher tariffs than we do. You go through the list: Japan, EU, India, China. Some of these countries have tariffs that are 3 or 5 times as high as the United States. And so by putting in place a larger tariff in the United States, hopefully we can force that conversation that it sounds like everyone here wants to have, which is how do we work together to bring down tariffs globally? And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Clete, do you find yourself, though, many times saying he doesn't really mean it, and we're not really going to do, you know, across-the-board tariffs, and, you know, it's a negotiating tool? And then I would ask Bob the same questions. You've got, you know, your candidate in the past 5 or 10 years, there's like 20 things that she doesn't mean, or else, you know, you definitely are running from it, you know, getting rid of private health insurance or decriminalizing border crossings or whatever it is. So both sides, Clete, are saying, we don't really mean it. Is it negotiating a lot of the tariffs that we hear from Trump?
Well, the moniker that I've used is take this very seriously. He's going to raise tariffs, but don't necessarily take every single thing literally, because the team needs to work out the specific details. And that's how I expect it to play out.
Okay, Bob, this is what I'm talking about: abolishing ICE, abolishing the filibuster, ending private health insurance, free health care for all illegals, mass amnesty for illegals. There's a lot of which ones are real and which ones aren't you in a weird position of saying she's not really going to do any of those things?
Are you talking to me or Clete?
Yeah, Bob. Yeah. I don't think Clete's going to defend Vice President Harris.
I think we have to wait and see what they do, there's a lot of talk during campaigns, and a lot of it either doesn't materialize in the actual policies of the candidate when they get in, or they try it and they can't get it through the Congress. So a lot of what we say and hear, or what they say and we hear, is we need to reserve judgment until we actually see the proposals, until we actually see whether they can work with the Congress to get them through, even if they do propose them. But if we're talking specifically about tariffs, Trump has made these points about 10% across the board, or 20%, or 60% for China. And the point I was making earlier is those would be the ones that would trouble me, because I think that A, they'd be inflationary, B, you'd get retaliation, C, they would disrupt a lot of companies who depend on imported products, supply chain products, intermediate products, and the price of those would go up and the price of their final goods would go up. So I'm really focusing for the moment on this, and I'd like to see what the final proposals are. Clete's right, we should wait. But I'm simply saying that some of the rhetoric now is quite disturbing, and I think you'd find that a number of companies, if they were really worried that these things were going to happen, would find also that their production and their consumer goods sales were going to be disrupted. And that's what troubles me. And we don't need more inflationary pressures at this point while the Fed's cutting rates. And the Fed would be having to do second thoughts if it saw more inflation because of higher tariffs.